In this video, this is a really important topic. We are going to be talking to you about how you can encourage your kids to be physically active, not only as children, but as adults, and how to do that in a way that won't turn them off, okay? So we're gonna start by talking about how getting our kids to be physically active when they're young can carry into their adulthood. We're gonna talk about the direct correlation between parents' physical activity and their children's levels of activity, not only when they're kids, but when they're adults. Because there's a really cool statistic, tons of studies out there have been done to show that the parents' level of physical activity is going to directly correlate to what that child's will be as they grow. As a matter of fact, one of the most recent studies that I read said that parents that were physically active were gonna have children that were more than likely going to be physically active by 60%.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
Oh yeah.
What else are we going to talk about?
Well, we're going to give you some practical tools and tips on how to encourage, but yet not get into conflict with your kids on the topic, and what you can do to better prepare yourself when approaching the subject.
My name is Kat Calm. I am the founder of Studio Sweat onDemand. I personally have 3 children, and they are all grown. My youngest is now 19, and they are all physically active. I will tell you right now, they were not always physically active. They went through different periods in their life where they weren't. So I'll talk about my experience there. Yael?
Hi, this is Yael. I'm a trainer at Studio Sweat. I also have a slew of kids. I have 6 kids, my youngest being 17, my oldest being 24, and just like Kat, they were not so active growing up, but now just at the start of the young adulthood, they've really picked it up and have become a lot more active. That it came from their own initiative as time came along. Aside from being a Studio Sweat trainer, I also have been certified as a parental coach, and I've given parental guidance as well as life coaching to parents to help them actualize the type of parent that they want to be.
All right, let's first talk about why this is important and how it can benefit your children long term. Things like, obviously, there's a lot of things when you're physically active that go along with it. You're a healthier weight, your anxiety levels are lower, you have better energy levels. So this is as, you know, they're children, but also into adulthood. And of course, there's the benefit that we talk about in that when your children start as active human beings, they're more likely to become active adults as well. And so they're gonna benefit from this, even things like their social skills. They're going to benefit not only as children, but as adults as well. Any other reasons that this is important that you want to add?
Well, I'll also just add that it has been proven to improve attention. So it will absolutely benefit their memory, their focus in studies. And as you mentioned, the social aspect is also at certain ages really important to help them get out and help them connect with other people in similar like activities.
Yeah, and so there's kind of an epidemic right now, at least with diagnosis, with ADD and ADHD, and so that physical activity can help, again, while they're youth and then while they're older. So the next thing that we're going to talk about are those very important tips, okay? How you can approach your children, what you can do to help them become physically active when they're young and then into their adulthood. Before we do that, I just want to make sure, have you subscribed to our channel yet? Because we've got lots of pro tips just like this one there. So take just 1 second and tap that subscribe button if you haven't already. All right, Yael, are you ready?
Ready.
I'm going to let you take it, okay? I'm going to let you take it from here. I want you to tell us some of those tips, those very important tips that are going to help parents get their kids physically active.
Well, first of all, I want to say that it is important to talk about the age appropriate level, okay? So if you're talking about young kids where they're a little bit more open to hearing what you have to say, so incentivizing your kids is always a nice way to help them along. I can remember myself, I used to walk around our community. I used to carry a bag of marshmallows with me, and every so often
that was your dangling carrot? Okay.
That was our dangling carrot. In addition to that, I think making small and attainable goals is something that can benefit them when kids see something concrete, something attainable, that will be a little bit more motivating. I think one of the best tips that I can tell you is to praise them with something they are currently doing. So instead of projecting forward to what you hope they want to be doing, if you look at what they are currently doing right now, I don't even care if it's walking to the corner and getting something at the store for you. Encourage and praise, definitely praise any little minute steps in that direction. That's where you can plug in the importance of exercise. So always do it in the positive, not in the negative. I think that a lot of times parents get caught up in what they want to see happen, and the negative attitude comes in, and then we've lost our kids. That's it. They're not going to be interested. That's not the environment that we want to create in order to encourage them.
That's a really good point. And, it's that praise, not push thing, that mentality. I think that was really important with my children. I'm in the fitness business personally, as you might know. And so I actually found it especially important to just be the role model. And that is probably the biggest tip that we can give you. And studies again show that if you as the parent have acted or are active yourself and your kids see it, they're going to want to follow in your footsteps most likely. And it might not happen. I had to be really careful not to tell my kids, yeah, come to the gym with me. Come on, you guys, you need to do this. No, not at all. I invited them to come to the gym with me. I invited them, when it came to any physical activity. But I didn't get upset if they didn't want to join me. But sure enough, the second my kids, and it was different, boys versus girls are going to be different. And what you were talking about with age, that's obviously very important to take into consideration. But sure enough, on their own will, and that part is so important, by their own doing, when they were ready, because they had seen me working out my entire life and being physically active, when they were ready, they started it, and they had the tools, and all I did was be there to support them. And when they'd come home, I'd be like, how was your workout today? What muscle group did you work? Because my daughter loves to lift, that's her primary thing. And finding those things that they love to do, you expose them, right? Your job as a parent is exposure, right? You expose them to as many activities as you can to help them find their love, a physical activity, because it's going to be different for every child, okay? Or every person for that matter. Right. Okay. All right. Any other tips that you think we should mention?
I think it's also important to just consider presenting things to them that are non-competitive. We really never know, personally, I was the person first picked on the team in school because I was athletic, but not every kid is like that, and your kid may not be like that, and they may be very self-conscious. So try and pick things that suit them and their style. Mm-hmm. If
there's a lot of solo sports out there, or ways to be physically active. There are team sports where it's an individual playing another individual, for example, but yet it rolls up to a team, like track and tennis. Those type of sports, it doesn't always have to be football. I mean, even if it's hiking, right? The last thing that we're going to talk about are, you think about you watching this vlog right now. Some of you might have 2-year-olds, and some of you might have 5-year-olds, and some might have 12-year-olds, and some might have 17-year-olds, and it might be your grandkids that we're talking about here. So we'd like to talk about how to approach things, at different ages, because it is different. We'd like to talk about some common objections and then roadblocks that you might encounter and how to handle those. Before we do that, I want you guys to take an opportunity to look at my favorite fitness app. This is just 10 seconds, so just watch it, and then we'll be right back.
If you're looking for a convenient, motivating way to get or stay fit, Studio Sweat On Demand has a huge library of ad-free on-demand workouts with non-stop hot new releases, all featuring real people just like you. Start your 7-day free trial by downloading our app. It's risk-free with no credit card required. So get started today.
All right, Yael, let's talk about those objections, those roadblocks, and then how to approach these children with these topics, and give parents tips for the different ages that they might have.
Okay, well, I think the most important thing, the underlying factor in all the ages, is making sure your kids know you are on their side and you are there to be helpful to them. Yeah. It's not about what you want and your agenda. It's about being there. You're on their team, you're on their side, and offer them ways. How can I make this easier for you? What can I do to help you? Getting into conflict will just not reap any rewards.
And how about like a 5-year-old versus, and this doesn't matter, like 5-year-old versus middle schooler, like 12 versus like, you know, that 16-year-old girl that's just pushing you away. I've had one.
Yeah. So I think for the young kids, like we said, finding the things that they really love to do, finding the clubs, finding the social outlet that will speak to them. That's the best thing I think that you can do, as well as just the reward system, like you were talking about, the gold stars, those things work. Absolutely.
Give them a chart. Put those gold stars up for like every 30 minutes they do. Minimizing screen time, you know what I mean? That's another thing. If they're not on their screen, they're probably going to be more physically active. So
yeah. I think for a little bit older kid, having something, some kids enjoy something trackable. So whether it be X number of miles or X amount of time, X number of steps. I have a son, he hated going on class trips where they would just walk and walk. So we gave him a little, I think it's a
clicker,
and he was able to see, you know, how far he's going, or he actually led the group. He looked at the map and said, okay, when we get to this stop, this is what's going to happen. We get to that stop, so something that they concrete, that they can also see that their gains, you know, they're making gains along the way.
People do love statistics, children and adults, and so, you know, that's why the heart rate devices are so popular, but that's a really good point too.
Once the kids are older, it's just, again, like we mentioned, and you mentioned, just be the best role model you can be and make it be something positive in your home. And just wait it out if you have to.
Yeah, wait it out. That's good advice. Patience. Tip number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Be patient.
Absolutely.
And hang in there. And just be diligent. Be consistent yourself. And I think they'll see that, and there's a better chance that they'll, you know, do the same. So, yeah, Elle, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you guys for watching. And we do have some free sample workouts right here for your youth. You can do them with them on our YouTube channel. So make sure that you subscribe and check those out. And we have even more youth workouts, family-friendly workouts, every workout that you can think of. We are known as the best fitness app for variety. So go to StudioSweatOnDemand.com today, get your 7-day free trial, and you can also download our app today to get that trial as well. All right, yeah, Elle, thank you again so much. All right,
thank you.
Bye, guys.